Do you think Adam Peters is done revolutionizing this franchise? Because I've got 3 pieces of news that'll give you chills and show exactly why this organization is at a historic moment, unlike anything we've seen since the days of Joe Thei's MANN.first. We have official confirmation that Bobby Wagner isn't just another veteran decorating our roster. NFL.com just declared he has the best draft value of the millennium among linebackers. Do you know what that means? We're talking about the last 25 years of football, and we've got the number 1 leading our defense. Second, there are serious issues with our return home, and this has me worried as a fan who lived through the FedEx Field era. Mayor Muriel Bowser just raised her concern level to a 4 out of 5 about the RFK Stadium timeline. After decades of waiting to return where we belong, the D.C. Council's bureaucracy is threatening to ruin our plans. And third, brace yourselves. Because this is pure dynamite. CBS Sports just named Washington as a potential destination for T.J. Watt if Pittsburgh decides to trade him. Can you imagine waking up one day and seeing Watt signing with Burgundy and Gold? Do you realize what that would mean, not only for our Super Bowl aspirations, but for sending a message to the entire NFC East? These 3 pieces of news show us exactly where this franchise stands. We have elite foundations, legitimate ambitions, and the aggressiveness to make moves that change the league. But let's break it down because each of these stories deserves deep analysis. Look, after years of watching this team struggle with linebackers who seem lost in coverage, who couldn't read plays, who arrived late to tackles, we finally have a true general leading our defense. And now NFL.com officially confirms it. Bobby Wagner has the best draft value of the millennium among linebackers. Do you know what that means? We're talking about 25 years of NFL drafts, thousands of linebackers selected, and ours is at the absolute top. But let me explain why this goes beyond pretty statistics and becomes a real competitive advantage. When Wagner arrived here in 2024, I immediately said it was the smartest acquisition we've made in years. But I tell you this, we had no idea we were witnessing pure history walking through our facilities. This man was selected in the 2nd round of the draft in 2012 by Seattle, picked 242 overall. Do you know how many first-team All-Pros have come from picks that late? Practically none. From his rookie year, Wagner set standards other linebackers are still trying to reach. He finished 2nd in Defensive Rookie of the Year, losing only to Luke Kuechly. And from then on, it was off to the races. 9 Pro Bowl invitations, SIX first-team All-Pro mentions, 3 second-team, and a key piece of the mini dynasty in Seattle that won Super Bowl 40-8. But here's what really excites me as a fan of this organization and why this news is crucial for our immediate future. Wagner, at 34 years old, is still producing at an elite level. Last year, in his first season with us, he led us to the NFC Championship. And while I admit he didn't play at his peak compared to his days in Seattle, his value on the field and as a locker room leader was invaluable. Did you see how he organized the defense pre-snap against the Eagles in the playoffs? Did you notice how Jaden Daniels sought his advice on the sidelines? That's no coincidence. We're witnessing a Hall of Famer sharing decades of experience with our quarterback of the future. And here's what truly excites me. While other NFC East teams keep making mistakes with veterans, Dallas went hard on veterans past their prime, like Ezekiel Elliott. The Giants continue to deal with terrible contracts from players who didn't produce. We got a genuine Hoff who still has gas in the tank, but let me give technical context on why Wagner remains dominant. His football IQ is superior to any linebacker we've had since London Fletcher. His ability to read plays before the snap saved us multiple touchdowns last season. And in coverage, something that has historically been a weakness for this franchise at the linebacker position, Wagner can still effectively cover tight ends and running backs. The comparison to Fletcher is intentional because both arrived here. As proven veterans, both became immediate leaders and both elevated the level of the entire defense. But Wagner has something Fletcher never had, experience winning Super Bowls and playing in multiple NFC championships. I believe the impact of Wagner transcends individual statistics. When I see our young linebacker studying film with him, when I see how Dan Quinn adjusts coverages based on Wagner's suggestions, I understand why this acquisition was genius-level management by Adam Peters. And you know what's the craziest part? Wagner took a team-friendly contract to come here. He could have signed for more money elsewhere, but he chose Washington because he saw what we're seeing. An organization on the rise with a genuine hunger to win. The Cowboys have Micah Parsons, a generational talent, but do they have the playoff pressure experience Wagner brings? The Eagles have a talented front seven with Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, but do they have proven leadership in clutch moments? The Giants. Well, the Giants have bigger problems than the linebacker position. This NFL.com news confirming Wagner as the best draft value of the millennium isn't just deserved recognition. It's validation that Adam Peters correctly identified a player who can still impact winning at the highest level. Explosive transition. If that surprises you, get ready, because what's coming will leave you speechless. Now here's something that genuinely has me worried as a fan who has lived through this franchise's saga for decades. Our return home to where we truly belong is facing serious obstacles that could ruin the perfect timeline we had planned. Mayor Muriel Bowser just raised her concern level to a 4 out of 5 about the RFK Stadium timeline. Do you understand the gravity of this? When a politician publicly admits their concern at a 4 out of 5 level, it means internally they're in full panic mode. Let me give the full context of why this is crucial for the future of this franchise. Since we moved to FedEx Field in 1997, we've been playing in exile. Landover, Maryland was never our true home. It was convenient for Jack Kent Cooke, but it disconnected us from our real fan base in the DMV. Do you remember the days at RFK when the stadium literally bounced with the energy of the Hogs? That concrete bowl vibrated so much during bid plays. It felt like it would collapse. From 1961 to 1996, that was our true home, where we won 3 Super Bowls, where we established a culture we still remember nostalgically. FedEx Field never had that magic. It never had that intimate connection with the city. It was too big, too generic, too corporate. And its location in Maryland always felt like a compromise. Not a proud choice. But here's the problem that has me worried. Mayor Bowser and Josh Harris wanted the D.C. Council's approval by July 15th. Do you know when the public hearings are scheduled? 29th and 30th of July. 2 weeks after the deadline we needed. I tell you this isn't just slow bureaucracy. This is local politics interfering with the momentum of a franchise that's finally doing everything correctly. While we deal with public hearings and committee meetings, our divisional rivals already have established stadium situations. Jerry Jones has a T&T stadium, which I hate to admit but is a palace. The Eagles have Lincoln Financial Field in the heart of Philadelphia, perfectly connected to their fan base. The Giants have MetLife Stadium, which, even though they share it with the Jets, is in the country's largest market. And us, we're waiting on city council members who've probably never seen a football game to make decisions about the future of a $6 billion franchise. But here's what truly bothers me. The timing is absolutely critical. We're in our golden competition window with Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract until 2027. Terry McLaurin is in his prime. Bobby Wagner is still producing at an elite level. Are we going to waste these golden years because the D.C. Council can't move paperwork? Quickly, let me explain the long-term implications. A new stadium at RFK isn't just about convenience or nostalgia. It's about competitive advantage. Modern NFL stadiums generate significantly more revenue than old facilities like FedEx Field. More revenue means more cap space flexibility. More cap space means the ability to retain talent and add premium free agents. Look at the Rams after moving to Sophie Stadium. They immediately became a destination franchise for free agents. Why? Because players want to play in first-class facilities, in markets that matter, in environments that elevate their profile. Washington, D.C. is the nation's capital. We should be the #1 destination for any player wanting maximum exposure and legacy building. But stuck in Landover with a stadium that's falling apart, we can't offer that premium experience. And here's another factor people don't consider. Fan experience dramatically affects home field advantage. RFK was intimidating for visiting teams because 55,000 fans were literally on top of the action. FedEx Field has 82,000 seats, but feels empty even when sold out because the design is terrible. A new RFK stadium, properly designed, could recreate that intimidating atmosphere that helped our Super Bowl teams of the 80s and early 90s. Do you think it's a coincidence our best years coincided with playing at RFK? Bowser mentioned the deal is solid and everyone wants the same thing. But if everyone wants the same thing, why are we 2 weeks behind schedule? Why is she admitting public concern at level 4? I believe we need public pressure on the DC Council. We need them to understand this opportunity won't exist forever. Josh Harris is committed now. We have political momentum now. Public support now. What happens if any of those factors change while we wait for endless hearings? Dramatic transition. But if you think RFK timeline issues are worrying, wait to hear this because it's going to change everything. This is completely crazy. CBS Sports just named Washington as a potential destination for TJ Watt if Pittsburgh decides to trade him, and I can't contain the excitement. Do you understand the absolute implications of this? We're talking about the 2021 Defensive Player of the Year, an edge rusher who tied the NFL record with 22.5 sacks in a single season. Let me paint the picture of what this would mean. We lost Dante Fowler Jr. to Dallas in free agency, and while Fowler had solid production, he was never a game changer. He was reliable, but not the type of player that opposing offensive coordinators lose sleep game planning against. TJ Watt, completely different level. This man is nightmare fuel for quarterbacks. In 2021, when he won DPOY, he didn't just have 22.5 sacks. He had 21 tackles for loss, 39 quarterback hits, 5 forced fumbles, and 1 interception returned for a touchdown. Do you understand how insane those numbers are? But here's what truly excites me. Dan Quinn already demonstrated with Micah Parsons in Dallas that he can maximize elite edge rusher talent. Quinn's defensive system is designed to create mismatches and unleash pass rushers in favorable situations. Can you imagine what he could do with TJ Watt? Look, CBS sports writer Cody Benjamin specifically mentioned that even though we primarily use a 4-3 defensive alignment, Watt has put his hand in the dirt before, and Quinn would find a way to unleash Watt just like he did with Parsons. This is exactly the type of innovative coaching that separates great coordinators from average ones. And here's the craziest thing of all. We have the perfect cap space to make this move. Benjamin mentioned we have plenty of cap space to use in 2026 to 2027, and Jaden Daniels is on a rookie deal. This is literally our golden window for aggressive moves like this. I tell you this, while Jerry Jones is dealing with Dak Prescott's contract drama, while he's trying to figure out how to pay CD Lamb and Micah Parsons, while handling salary, cap issues, we could be adding a generational pass rusher without breaking our financial structure. Do you think it's a coincidence that Adam Peters is considering these ultra-aggressive moves? This man orchestrated the complete transformation of this franchise in a year. Traded for Marshon Lattimore, signed Bobby Wagner, drafted perfectly with Jaden Daniels, and now potentially eyeing T.J. Watt. But let me give a technical analysis of why Watt would be a perfect fit for our system. In Quinn's 4-3 defense, we could use Watt as a pure edge rusher in base packages, but also in hybrid packages where he drops into coverage occasionally to confuse quarterbacks. Do you remember how Quinn used Parsons in Dallas? Sometimes edge rusher, sometimes inside linebacker, sometimes safety in certain packages. Watt has similar versatility. At 30 years old, He's in his absolute physical prime and coming off a season with 19 sacks. 19 sacks. Here's what's got me spinning. Imagine our divisional games with T.J. Watt, Dak Prescott trying to operate behind, Gallus's struggling offensive line with Watt coming off the edge, Jalen Hurts dealing with constant pressure from one of the most explosive pass rushers in the league, Daniel Jones. Well, Daniel Jones already has enough problems. But there are realistic considerations we have to discuss. Watt is in a contract dispute with Pittsburgh, similar to what's happening with Terry McLaurin here. The difference is Watt probably wants a massive extension, while McLaurin's situation is more about fair market value adjustment. Is Pittsburgh really willing to trade their defensive superstar? Here's my analysis. The Steelers have been competitive but not championship contenders recently. The Russell Wilson experiment might work, but they're probably looking at a 2 to 3 year maximum window. If they're not confident about Super Bowl chances, trading Watt for premium draft capital might make sense. And here's the kicker. According to reports, Watt wants to be paid like the elite edge rusher he is. Pittsburgh might not want to commit massive money to a 30-year-old, even one as productive as Watt. We, on the other hand, have financial flexibility and championship ambitions that perfectly align with Watt's timeline. What would we have to give up? Probably our 2025 first-round pick, maybe additional picks or players. But consider this. We're trading draft picks that might or might not develop into impact players for a proven, elite, Hall of Fame trajectory edge rusher who immediately makes us Super Bowl contenders. I believe this move makes perfect sense for both sides. Watt gets paid, joins a franchise on the rise, and plays in one of the biggest markets in sports. We get the final piece that transforms our defense from good to elite. Imagine our defensive front. T.J. Watt rushing from one side, Dorrance Armstrong from the other, Jonathan Allen and Darren Payne collapse in the pocket from inside. Behind them, Bobby Wagner directing traffic. What opposing offense could consistently move the ball against that unit? But here's the reality check. These types of trades are incredibly rare. Elite players in their prime rarely get traded unless there's serious dysfunction. Watt's relationship with Pittsburgh management must be worse than publicly reported for this to even be a conversation. However, if Adam Peters can pull this off, we're talking about a franchise-altering move. Not just for this season, but for establishing Washington as a destination franchise that top-tier players want to join. Let's recap, because these three stories literally define where this franchise is at this historic moment. Bobby Wagner confirmed as the best linebacker value of the millennium. That tells us we have foundational excellence directing our defense. RFK. Stadium timeline hitting snags that shows us that despite our on-field success, bureaucratic challenges can threaten our long-term competitive advantages. T.J. Watt potentially available. That represents the ultimate opportunity to complete our championship puzzle. While we have financial flexibility, do you realize these three stories perfectly encapsulate Josh Harris and Adam Peters' vision? Respect for history, Wagner's legacy, ambition for the future, RFK return, and aggressiveness to win now, Watt possibility. I believe Adam Peters is building something we haven't seen in Burgundy and Gold since the early 90s. A culture where excellence is expected, where big moves are normal, where championship aspirations aren't wishful thinking but realistic goals. But I need to know exactly what you think. Would it be worth sacrificing our 2025 first-round pick, plus additional compensation for T.J. Watt? Should we be genuinely worried about RFK delays potentially affecting our competitive window? Is Bobby Wagner the veteran leader who finally carries us to our fourth Super Bowl? And here's the bigger question. Do you think Peters really has the guts to pull off a trade like T.J. Watt? Because if he does, we're not just talking about improving our pass rush. We're talking about sending a message to the entire NFL that Washington is back as a serious championship contender. Like if you believe Peters should absolutely make the trade for Watt, subscribe if you trust Wagner will be the difference maker. In our Super Bowl run, and hit that notification bell because tomorrow we'll have more explosive news you absolutely cannot miss. Leave me comments telling me which of these 3 stories has you most excited. And more importantly, tell me your realistic expectations for this season. Are we really Super Bowl ready or still 1 year away? This is our Commanders family, and together we will experience every moment of what could be the most important season in franchise history. Remember, when other teams are settling for mediocrity, we're swinging for championships. And remember, hail to the Redskins, baby.